What is up, everybody? It is Og here, back with another video, and today's video is going to be part 2 of the how to AOE level from 1 to 60 as fast as possible. And so in this series, we're basically going to be going over how to AOE farm, where to AOE farm, to get your mage from 1 to 60 as quick as possible. If you missed the first video where we went over which race to pick, which gender to pick, and some recommendations for the early levels, I'll link that up above. Definitely check that out. But in this video, we're going to start AOE farming. So at level 14, you are finally able to start AOE farming. Now that doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but that does mean that you have Arcane Explosion. Why is it not going to be easy? Well, there's some really important things to AOE farming, and the things that make it so easy for a mage to be able to handle, 10 to 500 mobs at once, mainly the slow effects. At this level, though, you don't have access to the slow effects. Why? Because in order to get them, you need to have Improved Blizzard, which Blizzard you don't even get until level 20, but you need 3 out of 3 Improved Blizzard, which you really don't get till level 22. So before you're level 22, you have to AoE farm with some lower level strategies, and that's going to be Arcane Explosion, Flame Strike, Arcane Explosion, and leveraging your Frost Armor to try to keep mobs off of you. And so how we're going to do this is I'm going to show you the spot as a maximum level tune, basically show you where it is and talk about it a little bit and probably show you the recommended kill routine that I recommend. And then I'm going to show you footage of doing it with a lower level tune. Now I'll be able to do this for almost all the spots, but there will be one spot on the Horde where I won't have a tune that level, and so I'll have to do it with a level 60. But hopefully this will give you perspective of seeing how to actually do it at that level, rather than just having a level 60 run through and kill all the mobs real quickly. So that's what we're going to start off with today, level 14 for Horde and Alliance. Let's jump into it. All right, so we are level 14. You might be wondering, why am I over in Westfall? So if you didn't know where we are, we're in Westfall, right around here. Recommend this spot as the first place to start. The Alliance actually have a pretty big advantage over the Horde, because at lower levels they have what are called hyperspawn locations, and hyperspawn locations with good quantities of mobs that will behave well. What I mean by behave well? Well, typically you're going to want humanoids. Humanoids are going to run away from you at lower levels. So it's kind of beneficial if you have a wand or something. If you run out of mana, but the mobs get down so low of a health that they're running away from you, you can finish them off with a wand. And so it's going to cause you to die less. And so that's why I picked this spot as the best starting spot. Additionally, whenever you're doing this, you want to be killing mobs that are, 2 levels below you, preferably, maybe 1 level below you, but probably not anything higher than you, because you're really struggling at a lower level with AoE farming to take out these mobs. Really all you have is Arcane Explosion. You have to leverage your Frost Armor, because at the time it's not Ice Armor, it's just Frost Armor, to basically slow the mobs and then kite in a circle to keep them off of you while you get them down. But you're killing them with Arcane Explosion, which really drains your mana, and so you quickly run out of mana and can get into bad situations if they aren't able to run away. For the Horde, there's not really a great spot to do this that I've ever been able to find. There is a spot up in Silverpine Forest with this farm right here where there are respawning mobs and hyperspawning mobs. However, there's some casters there, so it can get a little bit hairy. It's up to you to give that a try if you would like, but honestly, I would probably recommend that even the Horde comes over to this area, or the Horde stays in the Barrens and just focuses on killing about 3 mobs at once and just taking them out like that. Before the Alliance, we have the major advantage of this area. If you are Horde, I recommend hopping onto the Zeppelin from Ratchet, fly over, and then swim up the coastline here. Honestly, it only takes about 10 minutes, so it's not a really long run. Does suck. Alliance is going to be a lot faster, but it is going to be worth it to get to this spot. Why is it worth it to get to the spot? Well, if you guys don't know what hyperspawns are, this is a hyperspawn. And so hyperspawn basically means that whenever you kill mobs, more mobs have to respawn, because there has to be a certain amount of mobs in that area. So you can see here, I'm literally just killing these mobs and they're automatically spawning on top of me. Now, obviously with a lower level tune, we're not gonna be able to take them out with one hit, and it's not gonna be simple like that. But what that does allow is it allows for you to kill, groups of 3 or 4 mobs, drink up, and then more mobs are ready to go. You don't need to wait 2 minutes for a respawn timer until you're just ready to go, ready to rock and roll. And so you might as well just get pulling them, right? So you wanna leverage hyperspawns as much as possible in low-level AoE farming, just because it makes things a heck of a lot quicker. So this is my first spot that I recommend, level 14. Before we jump into showing it with a lower level tune, let's talk about the talents I recommend. At this level, you have 4 talent points because you're level 14. All of them should be Improved Fireball. Now this might not make sense because we eventually want to go Frost, right? Well, you're going to make enough gold where you're going to have to respec at 22. And I would recommend doing that. Why? If you get Improved Fireball, with a rank 1 fireball, you can get fireball down to a 1-second cast timer. It is very important that you take as minimal of damage as possible, and so you're going to want to be pulling these mobs to you as quickly as possible without having to run and phase pull them, because that's just extra damage you're going to take. And so having improved fireball, having those quick fireballs you can turret out, you can target the furthest one, and then a one closer, and then a one closer, and they're all going to reach you at about the same time, saving you some health. The mana cost is pretty cheap, and you're also doing damage to all those mobs, and so that's, still fine for the Arcane Explosioning. So at this point, I would recommend this talent tree. Let's just make it real quick. If you guys don't have this add-on, it's called Talented Classic. Very useful. So right now, level 14, we have 5 points. I miscalculated. But we have 5 points, improved fireball, 1-second cast. Very important. Okay, so 5 points, improved fireball, level 14. Let's check what it actually looks like. So here we are in the world record attempt. I'm looking pretty tired because we're 7 hours in, but we're actually level 15. Same kind of idea though at this level. You can see here that really we don't have much on our bars, right? We have Arcane Explosion. I do have a couple missiles that I got from a quest, and so if you have any kind of grenades you can drop down, those definitely help just to burn down mobs. But we're basically chilling here with minimal things. We also don't have good gear. You can see the health is at 322. And the mana is pretty low as well, because as I'm leveling up solo, I obviously can't trade myself gear or anything like that. So you're going to have a massive advantage if you can, access the auction house. But you can see here that I'm using rank 1 fireball. I think I accidentally used max rank fireball there. Or maybe I am using max rank fireball for whatever reason, but I would recommend a rank 1. But you see, I aggro up all the mobs, Arcane Explosion them, bring them together. Once they get together, I stop moving. Now the reason why I stop moving right there, you'll notice I'm not moving, is leeway. So if you guys aren't familiar with what leeway is basically a mechanic where if two things are in motion, yourself and then the mob and you can hit each other from a further distance. So it's beneficial when you're trying to hit them from far away with spells, but it also means that they can do more damage to you. So when I'm basically having mobs break out of the Nova, I don't want them to be able to hit me. I want them to have to come closer to me to be able to hit me, because the Arcane Explosion has a further range than their melee. So I stand still and Arcane Explosion until they start running away. Then I might get a little bit more aggressive and start moving towards them. But the name of the game here is basically aggro these mobs, pull them together, and then Arcane Explosion them down and burn them down. Try to use, ice armor to protect you a little bit. I kite away, you can see there before I drop my Nova. If you do get rooted, this is going to be another beneficial reason to be a gnome. You can escape artist out of it, but you should be okay. You can see here though, with 3 mobs, it's not too bad. If you increase this to, 4 or 5 mobs, you're probably going to run into some hairy situations though. So just be careful and always have pots if possible if you need to pop them. You should have enough mana to be able to take out these mobs though. It's really an awesome space. You can see the mobs range from level 12 to 14. So they are perfect for your level range at 14. Still provide great experience all the way up to 16. I don't recommend going to the next spot until level 16, but you can see here, we're about to do 5 mobs at once, so we're trying to get off as many fireballs as we can. We get off a fire blast as well, just trying to damage the mobs, get the Nova. You can see here that we're Arcane Explosioning. I drop down a bomb just because I have 5 of them, and try to burn down the mobs as quickly as possible. So here is where I recommend starting off with the AOE farming. Honestly, at this level, it's tough with just Arcane Explosion. You don't even have Flame Strike, so Flame Strike is going to make things a lot easier. That's at level 16. If you wanted to, just keep on questing. And maybe you just kill 3 mobs at once if you wanted to. It's basically the same idea, right? But questing is still going to give you a ton of experience, so it's still a great opportunity. But if you wanted to go full AOE mode, this is the spot to do it. Once you hit 16 though, we move on to the crabs. So this is the spot when you are level 14 you want to come to up in Northern Westfall, right here. You can find it from the little ramp down right here. This spot. Find the log, chill out here. Watch out for the murlocs, don't get too close to them to aggro them. But this is going to be the best spot from level 15 to 18, bar none. This spot, ladies and gentlemen, is as good as it gets. These crabs are all perfectly spaced. They have hyper spawns. There's only 4 of them. You're not going to aggro extra mobs, except for one random path that runs by every like 10 minutes. And you can just blow up these crabs and get a ton of experience. I'm talking 30 minutes per level solo at 16. That's phenomenal. And this is where you start exceeding the speed that you could be doing questing with. The other benefit is that at level 16, you get Flame Strike. So you saw me cast Flame Strike there. The strategy is basically to do this. Do as much damage as you can, bringing them together, then Flame Strike after the Nova, Arcane Explosion, and burn them down. So you can see here, same kind of idea. I'm casting Fireball to aggro them up. Fireball, 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 doing as much damage as I can before they get together. Fire Blast the last one, bringing them together. Arcane Explosion as they're moving towards me. Go for the Nova, get the Flame Strike going, and then Arcane Explosion as much as possible, spamming that to burn them down while the Flame Strike dot does kill them. Now you're going to notice that I'm in the back a little bit, and you can see that Sandcrawler spawn right next to me. It actually is important where you're standing for this pool. You want to be close to the back of this rock, because if you're too close to, this middle here, you can actually have a Sandcrawler spawn on you. If you aggro them, mid-kill, one, you're not going to have enough health to survive, and two, you're not going to have enough mana to get them down. So you definitely want to make sure that you're killing the mobs back near this rock, away from any potential spawns. Otherwise, you could run into issues. But here we're casting Max Rank Fireball. Again, now that I think about it, I actually do recommend Max Rank Fireball now that I'm remembering what's going on, because you want to be able to do as much damage as you can to these mobs before they kill you. Just all the more reason to make sure you're going down the fire tree. Flame Strike, Arcane Explosion, blow up the mobs, stand in that spot, do it again. Don't get too close to the outside where you could potentially aggro a mob with Arcane Explosion, and you can reach speeds of 30 minutes a level at this location. Same kind of idea. You should have plenty of health and mana. People with Auction House gear are just going to be able to burn it down a little bit quicker than people without Auction House gear. At level 18, we transition to the next location. Fortunately, we're still over in Westfall, this time down in southeastern Westfall. Down here, you can see that there's actually a good amount of gnolls. So these gnolls are humanoids, and just like the humanoids from earlier, they're going to be running away at lower health. There's a lot more of them stacked up in these locations. You can see this group is 5 of them right here. They're ranging from 16, 17. I believe that there's some level 18 mobs around this area too. Some 15 mobs, it looks like. But you can do this all the way until 22. Why? Although it's not a hyperspawn, all these mobs are so densely populated that you can still get about an hour a level. My issue during my world record attempt is honestly that I left this spot. I should never have left this spot at level 20 or anything like that, because this spot was so good. Although the mobs are green, you can mow them down and jump camp to camp to camp. And so I'm going to show you the exact kill tactic that I use. But basically, the idea is that you kill all the mobs in one camp, run over to the next camp, kill all the mobs. The mobs you have to watch out for are the mystics. There are some mystics throughout the camps, not in the camps that I do, which is this camp right here, this camp, this camp, this camp, and then this camp over here in the corner. And so you can see those kind of like 5 camp routes that we're going to be doing. But if you work towards the inside, you can find some mystics. And so if we go over here, there's a mystic right here. Anytime you find a mystic, you can still actually pull this camp. You just have to sheep the mystic, pull the other mobs out, Arcane Explosion them, and burn them down. Typically, though, I would just stay away from them. You're going to have plenty of mobs to burn down, and you can reach about an hour or a level an hour right here. It's very good. Not a hyper spawn. Very good, though. You're also getting a ton of wool cloth, which is going to be very useful for bandages. And also, if you want to get up tailoring to potentially make yourself some gear as you level up, it's a great way to stack up on that. So here we can see the actual kill tactic. Now, because all these mobs are stacked up so closely, again, this is a mystic. Don't pull the mystics. So we bail out of that. We want to start off with a Flame Strike. And so we start off with a Flame Strike. This is going to do some initial burst damage to the mobs, get them down at once, group them up together, then go for the Nova, then we go for a second Flame Strike. What this is doing is it's doing, similar to the Fireball idea, doing a lot of damage to the mobs right off the bat before they even start running at you and get aggro. Do some extra damage, and then you can go through and you won't have to worry about dying as easily. And so since these mobs are so stacked so well, you can do that. Now there will be some extra mobs on the outside that you kind of have to burn down individually and kind of group them up like you normally would. But this is a great kind of area for this, because although the mobs are close to your level, although you probably don't have great gear if you're on your own and you're just using Flame Strike and everything like that, you can get off that initial burst damage on a lot of these mobs, group them up, and mow them down from there. I honestly didn't die too many times down here. I did have some close calls, but if you work around the camps, Flame Striking, Arcane Explosioning, and then if you have some mobs on the outskirts, just wanting them, getting them all together, and doing your normal kill rotation, you're going to be able to go through this area very quick and level up. So that is how we're going to be able to get to level 22 as quickly as possible. As I said, probably my biggest mistakes were leaving this area. Westfall is going to be the best place. Hyper spawns, plus crabs, which are just crazy experience, plus these river paw, gnolls just being stacked up perfectly, is amazing for AoE farming. Questing at this level is also great too. If you want to go over to Lakeshire, you can quest and level up like that. But this is a really good opportunity to start AoE farming at the lower levels. It's going to be tougher than it is later at some points, just because you got to get used to, not being afraid the mobs are hitting you. You're going to be taking some hits while you go for arcane explosions, flame strikes, etc. So you got to get used to that, but it's going to help you level up very, very quickly using this method at this level. One question you probably have though, what talents are we going to be running as we level up? It's actually kind of important to make sure you get the right ones. So let's jump into that. So we talked about going, down the fire tree first to get improved fireball. After that though, you probably don't need to stay in fire. To be honest, that is the time to switch over to frost. Why would we do that though? After we've already spent this time going down fire, why not just go for ignite? Well, any mob that is your level has a 5% chance to resist you. 95% chance for you to hit, basically 5% chance to resist. You can't get to 100% chance that you're going to hit every single time, but you can get to 99. The way you can do that is by elemental precision. And so the very first thing we do, 3 points in elemental precision. This is going to make it so that mobs can't resist you as much. A resist, because of the mana cost at this level, could be the difference between you living and killing the mobs, or you not killing the mobs. So highly recommend going for elemental precision right after you go for the improved fireball. From there we go Frost Ward, increasing our armor. This is going to allow us to be able to live a little bit easier, even though you don't have much armor at this level. And then from there, we're level 19, so we have 3 more points before we're 22. You actually want to go Permafrost. A lot of people are going to be tempted to go improve Frost Nova just to have Frost Nova be a shorter cooldown, but you're killing all these packs before your Frost Nova is up, otherwise you're probably dead. So you don't need to go for improved Frost Nova. Rather, you can get Permafrost, which is going to increase the speed at which your Frost Armor slows these mobs by additional 10%. So if you're ever in a situation where you aggro the mobs and you need to kite them a little bit while you cast Arcane Explosion, those mobs are slowed by an additional amount, and this is making this the best option basically at this level. All right, everyone, that wraps up today's video. I hope you all enjoyed it, and if you did, please subscribe and leave a like and a comment below to let me know so. And if you guys have any other ideas for any other videos, please let me know in the comments below. Also, check out the description for the Twitch where I do all this live, and also for my Twitter and Discord where you guys can be notified of any future updates and when I'm going to go live on stream. So I'll see you guys in the next video.